Welcome to A New Way of Thinking. This is a book by Charles Roth, and we found it in the public domain, public access, and no copyright breach or infringement was intentional. We bring this to all for educational purposes alone. Contents page. Activate your spiritual potential. Do you have some problem, a difficulty to meet, a challenging situation at work, an appointment for an important interview? Perhaps you are starting out on a new job and you feel tense and are starting to become over anxious to make good. Perhaps you have a physical challenge that needs to be met, or you may be seeking harmony in a relationship. Whatever your personal challenge, here is a surefire spiritual technique for getting help beyond your human resources. Here is a method for channeling the transcendent wisdom and power of God into your specific problem or challenge. Affirm right now and at brief but very frequent prayer intervals, the Spirit of the Lord goes before me, making easy, joyous and successful my way. I am grateful. These are more than mere words. These statements might be thought of as activators. As you prayerfully repeat these words in the quiet and privacy of your mind, they activate the spiritual resources within you. Frankly, after the first time or two you speak these affirmative words to yourself, you may feel no change. Your inner attitude toward the mountainous problem before you may seem unchanged, but push on. Fortify yourself with the thought that the first shovelful of earth removed in digging a foundation for a building may be scarcely noticeable. But without the first shovelful, there would be no final shovelful. The beginnings of anything that you set out to accomplish may seem hardly noticeable, but actually they are the most important steps of all, because without beginnings there can be no endings, no successful completions. The Spirit of the Lord goes before me, making easy, joyous and successful my way. I am grateful. As you persist in using this affirmation, you will notice a difference in your thinking. You will notice a change in your attitude toward the challenging experience that lies before you. The interview, the new job, the physical checkup, the confrontation, or whatever. Perhaps this change in you can best be described by a statement a person once made to the author. He said, "Nothing was changed, but I feel better about it." My friends, the author's friend's remark made him smile, because they are so used to thinking of change as having to do with outer things. If nothing has changed in the outer, we sometimes think there has been no change at all. But the more we understand and experience the power of thought, the principle that thoughts, attitudes and beliefs are causes, and that outer things are but the effects or results of what started right within our mind, then we will come to know that a change for the better in our thoughts about the problem is a change in the problem. It is a change right where all change must originate, in our thoughts. This is a mental world. We're not saying that it's full of mental people, but it's just a mental world. It's a world where you use your mind. Some people do not realize this truth. They believe that this is a material world. They believe that things just happen, and that all we can do is try to get out of the way of the bad things that happen and get in the way of the good things that can happen. Living under this belief, we have built up a long list of superstitions that are supposed to help us to keep bad luck away or attract good luck to us. We may hang onto a rabbit's foot, a lucky charm of some other sort, or we may knock on wood. We might even throw salt over our left shoulder or something like that, Sometimes these good luck charms do work, but if and when they work, it is only because this is a mental world. The laws of the mental world say that anything you mentally believe, anything that you totally accept, will become real and take form in your physical world. Be it done for you as you have believed. Matthew 8:13. These simple words of Jesus are a concise statement of mental law. We can say this in another way. Whatever enters your life is but a manifestation in the outer of some belief in your own mind. What it means by manifestation is a revelation. For instance, the kind of home you live in, the kind of friends you have, the kind of marriage you have, your job, in fact your total environment, are the results of the kind of mental beliefs you have totally accepted and now hold in your subconscious mind. Indeed, this is a mental world, and your material world is but the outpicturing and form of the contents of your mind. Knowing this can be a turning point in your life, because it does not take long to discover that you have control of the contents of your mind. You can eliminate or discard whatever beliefs are causing ugly or unhappy circumstances in your life, and you can actually build new beliefs which will cause the kind of circumstances you want to take form. How do you build a desired belief into your mind? You do it the same way you have unwittingly built in the limited beliefs. Here's an example. Little Petey was told over and over that if he got his feet wet, he would catch a cold and be sick. He was told this by his mother, who in his mind represented the highest authority. One day he went out in the rain without his boots, and when he returned, his mother was all upset and loudly predicted, "Why didn't you mind me? Or why didn't you listen to me? Now you're going to catch a cold. Better take this warm milk and get right to bed." And sure enough, Petey did run a fever that night. Petey's suggestible subconscious mind totally accepted the belief that when he got his feet wet, he would get sick. To this day, even though he is a grown man, when Pete gets his feet wet for any reason, his subconscious mind obediently carries out the terms of that belief and he gets a cold. Now let's examine some of the principles of building a belief such as this one. First, he was told over and over and over, "Wet feet bring on a cold." This is the principle of repetition. So, one important principle in building a desired belief into your mental world is to repeat it over and over and over and over. For instance, do you believe that God is your help in every need? You could easily answer yes, but do you really believe it? Are there obstacles and challenging feelings that could be avoided in your world now by totally accepting the idea of God's ever-present help? One way of getting the belief that God is your help in every need into your mental world, into your subconscious mind, is to repeat it over and over and over again in your prayer times, and also at other times during the day or night. Every time you say aloud or to yourself, "God is my help in every need," it is like placing another brick in place, as if you are building a beautiful new house. You don't have a house after the first brick, nor after the 20th brick, but you are that much closer to the finished house with each effort. And so it is with building a belief. Things may not seem to change very much in the outer with your first repetition of a new belief that you wish to build in your subconscious mind, but you have put one more brick in place. Just keep at it. Soon you will build a mental counterpart that will express in your life as a rock-ribbed faith that God is your help in every need. Gone will be the fears, the tension over things you are called on to do that may have appeared too much for you before. You will automatically know that God is your help in every need, and you will tackle the things that are yours to do with confidence and ease. Building a mental prototype. When you think of the mental law according to the belief you have built into your mind, so will be the outer circumstances. Be reminded of the word prototype. This word is used often these days. For instance, I read the other day that an automobile firm was working on a prototype for a body design for new cars. They were building a wooden model that would be exact in every detail. In a situation like this, when the prototype is as complete and perfect as they can make it, they will patent the actual automobiles after it. This is exactly what you do when you consciously build a desired belief into your mental world. A belief is a mental prototype of what is going to take form in your material world. The word prototype is derived from the Greek. Proto is derived from a word that means first, and type is derived from a Greek word that means model. Webster Dictionary defines prototype as an original or model after which anything is copied, a primary form or pattern. This is exactly what a belief is, an original or model after which your outer circumstances are copied. It is the primary form or mental form of the physical form that is to come. Let's make this analogy a bit more specific and personal. Picture the experimental department of a big automobile concern. See all of the people working on a wooden prototype car. They are measuring and sanding and shaping the wooden model. Seems silly, doesn't it? A car like that would be useless. It wouldn't run. Cars have to be made of metal and have an engine. This looks like a bunch of grown people working on an oversized toy car. But you and I know that this is not true. These people are highly skilled and well paid, and this is more than a toy. From this model, millions of cars will be turned off the assembly line. Cars that will run. Picture your mind as having an experimental department. When you go into that department to work, you are fashioning new beliefs, new mental prototypes of outer conditions that will appear in form in your life. Your tools are a little different from those of the skilled people in the automobile experimental department. Instead of bandsaws and rulers and sandpaper, your tools are your faculties of mind, such as imagination, will, judgment, discrimination, love and faith. Here are examples of how you can use the same mental faculties to shape both a limiting, self-defeating belief and an unlimited successful belief. Suppose you are in sales work and you are not doing so well. The blackboard that lists the salesperson's names and the number of sales is like a terrifying monster to you, because your name is always near the bottom. The more you look at it, the more you are impressed with the belief that you are mediocre. Actually, you are building a prototype of a mediocre salesperson, and streaming off the production line are many lost sales. According to your belief, it is being done to you. So, take time to go into the experimental department of your mind and begin building a prototype of a successful salesperson. Build it with words and mental images. Tell your subconscious mind, I am successful at sales. All the beneficent forces of the universe are working with me and through me, and I am in the right place at the right time to say and do the right thing. Each week sees my success greater than the last. I am grateful. Then use the tool of your imagination. See yourself making sale after sale. See yourself confident and quietly skillful in understanding people's needs and selling them that which will make them pleased and satisfied. Notice that the author purposefully left the idea of competition out of your prototype belief. The only person you need ever compete with is your yesterday self. Competition with others leads to ulcers, ambition, greed and vanity. Never mind whose name is at the top of the list. If each week sees your success greater than the last, your sales higher, then your name will surely be high on that list. The important thing is that you are making real progress in your personal unfoldment. Take action. Once you have started solving your problem at the point where all change must start in you, the next step is to take action. Do what is at hand to do. Prayer is not a substitute for action. It is the silent partner of action. Here is a funny but wonderful thing. Even if you should do nothing about the problem except make this affirmation for a few days, the Spirit of the Lord goes before me, making easy, joyful and successful my way, I am grateful, you will find yourself feeling like taking action. This feeling will be a pleasant surprise to you, because one of the symptoms of the worry syndrome is inertia, or doing nothing. The overpowering resistance to getting started and doing what you know you have to do to overcome your problem. We did find information years ago. It was one of those Huxleys, probably Adolphus Huxley or his son of the same name, or his son. It said the whole purpose of education is to get you to do what you know you must do when you must do it, and you do it, right? Basically, not those exact words, but basically it's to get you to do what you know you must do when you must do it. When you start where all successful effort must start, by mentally acknowledging the transcendent and personal presence and power of God, and then formulate this acknowledgement into a concise statement of faith, or affirmation of faith, these power-laden words will activate your spiritual reserves, and they, in turn, will energize your will, intensify your desire, and engender all those psychological and emotional changes that make you, as it is said, feel better about the problem. Be undaunted. Let's be honest now and face something that might occur after your initial enthusiasm and before the problem is completely solved in the outer. You may find your faith becoming clouded over with doubt or discouragement. You may find dark and gloomy feelings arising uninvited from your subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is the repository of all your previous thoughts, feelings and beliefs. It has to do with the law of polarization, the law of opposites, that when you begin thinking and feeling and acting in a positive, success-oriented way, this seems to cause previously accepted opposite beliefs to surface in the conscious level of mind. We believe that your subconscious mind is your antagonist, your protagonist. You want to succeed and it gets in the way. It says, nah, take a rest, you're working too hard, you're trying too hard, just relax, play that video game, eat that dinner for $4, McDonald's or whatever, etc, etc. Don't worry about that. Do it tomorrow. It's just a negative. You got to beat that negative. That's what we've come to realise. You've got to defeat it. It's sort of like say, well, shut up and sit down. Take a back seat. Equivalent to get behind me, Satan. Right? You're in control. You're the power. It's your mind. Yeah. After all, we have spent many years pouring thoughts and words of fear and limitation into our ever-listening and ever-receptive subconscious. But there is one sure way of counteracting the law of polarity, and that is to bring a higher law into play. In other words, keep affirming your faith in God's presence and help, even in the mental darkness of doubt and discouragement. Create balance. A recurrent prayer statement in New Thought contains the phrase, I am undaunted in my faith. When I looked up undaunted in the dictionary, this is what the author is stating, this is what he found. Undaunted, adjective, is a describing word. Courageously resolute, especially in the face of stress. This has become one of the author's favourite words in meditations, meaning you're not sitting in a lotus position or one leg behind your head and going om like that. That's a different type of meditation. This is basically saying in relationship to Christ, like he's saying meditate on these things. It means think deeply on them, ponder them, go over them, think of them, try to work something out. Think about them long, ponder them. This has become one of the favourite words in meditations and in formulating personal affirmations for the author. Prayer has many of the characteristics of a science, and just as a scientist uses vaccines or rectifiers or static eliminators to provide the most perfect conditions for a principle to express through, so in prayer we can use words such as I am undaunted in my faith. I do not hesitate because of fear or discouragement, to effectively disarm those gloomy, pessimistic moods that appear unsummoned from our subconscious. Words are just words until we make them ours by repeating them, not repeating them unthinkingly as a parrot would, but repeating them with a purpose, by thinking about them, by giving them our undivided attention. When we do that, words almost seem to change their meaning. That is, they mean so much more to us than the first time we said or heard them. So it will be with the phrase, I am undaunted in my faith. Perhaps it means very little to you now, but work with it. Let those words ring out in your consciousness when fear and discouragement assail you. Affirm, I am undaunted in my faith. You can actually feel something happening to you, something good. A confident feeling, a winning feeling. Success or failure in life can be reduced to two simple attitudes of mind. I can't or I can. When you look at the outer conditions and challenges to be faced and say, I can't, you can't. Because you told yourself you can't. You're convincing yourself you can't. And you won't be able to as long as you stay in that attitude. When you look at the same facts and challenges and say, I can, then you have taken the first important step towards victory. This approach to life reveals to us and makes logical to us that we are not alone. We have invisible but nonetheless all-powerful spiritual forces and powers working with us, the forces of God. If we have to tackle a seemingly insurmountable problem alone, we can't be blamed for thinking or feeling that we can't handle it. But we are not alone when we align ourselves with universal spiritual law through scientific prayer. We can logically and confidently say, I can, with God's help. To sum up, the first thing we do about a problem is take a deep breath. As we push that breath out, we feel that we are breathing out of our system all tension, all negative thoughts about the problem, all fear, feelings of personal inadequacy or insecurity. At this point we can say to ourselves, I am one with God, my source. Then repeat with a purpose the words, the Spirit of the Lord goes before me, making easy, joyous and successful my way. I am grateful. You have activated your spiritual potential, your spiritual nature. Now go forth to meet and create your good. You are working with creative principle and principle cannot fail. No matter how dark the way might seem to human sight, keep on. Be undaunted in your faith. The invisible force of spirit is at work to bring forth an answer more wonderful and perfect than you can presently conceive or imagine. Will it work? It certainly will, because you are working with immutable divine law. Make no mistake about it. This is a mental world. It is not overcome in the marketplace, it is overcome in your mind. Conquer discouragement. Do you know what it means to be discouraged? Surely we all have had times. Surely we all have times when we sit looking out a window or staring at a wall with a hopeless, hollow feeling in our heart or our mind. Our life seems to be so messed up and cluttered with problems that a what's the use attitude fills our mind. In the word discouragement, the prefix dis is used to denote separation, such as in the words disappear, disunity or disease. Discouragement naturally denotes a separation from or a lack of courage. And if there is one thing that is all important in successfully meeting any challenging situation, it is courage. The word courage stems from a word meaning heart. Take heart. The Bible tells us time after time, be of good courage. In tackling the psychological enemy, discouragement, we first want to find its cause. As gardeners know, it does no good to cut just the top of weeds, for they will grow again. We have to pull them out by the roots. Similarly, we have to get at the cause of discouragement. Almost immediately as we search for the cause, we may find ourselves naming circumstances or conditions that we think are causing our feelings of depression and discouragement. Perhaps there is a personal illness that has been troubling us for a long time. Perhaps our mate is very difficult to get along with. Perhaps we are fed up with the monotony of a job. Same old, day in, day out. Boring. That we have been doing for so many years. If we should meet someday when you are discouraged, and I should ask you, this is the author saying to you, the reader, the listener, if we should meet someday when you are discouraged, and I should ask you, why are you discouraged? You might find this a very simple question to answer. You might even declare that you have tried everything without any sign of improvement. Your trouble may be with your work, and that you have been trying unsuccessfully to get ahead. Perhaps you would feel that you had been playing fair and giving of your very best in every way, apparently all to no purpose. Instead of forging ahead, you may seem to be slipping backward. Of course, these are major problems, but what makes them worse are the seeming hundreds of little problems that can crowd our life and keep us too upset to do anything about the big problems. Among these little bothers are the bent fender on the car that should be repaired, or the automatic washer that has been fixed twice in the last 2 months and still isn't working right. Discouragement may have something to do with the actions or attitudes of certain persons around you. When the author states here, he raises the question, why are you discouraged? It can seem perfectly natural for you to point to things, the conditions, or the people around you and say, there is the cause, or that's the problem, that person's the problem. And so it might appear. But here is the shocker. That cause of your discouragement, depression, and sense of lethargy is not in the outer conditions. The cause is in you. And the author states, let me assure you that the basic cause of your discouragement is not to be found in external conditions, nor in the actions of others. The trouble is not without, but within you. Now, don't misunderstand. This is not a matter of personal blame or condemnation. We are simply objectively seeking the real cause of discouragement, because until we discover the real cause, all efforts towards eliminating this destructive state of mind are just as ineffective as cutting off the top of a weed to be rid of it. Undoubtedly, external conditions play a role in the discouragement syndrome, but it is a secondary role, not a primary one. For the basic cause of discouragement, you must look into your own consciousness, your own thoughts and feelings. One way to prove this to yourself is to recall that two people react to a similar situation in an entirely different way. A certain situation may cause one person to become extremely downcast and discouraged, while the same situation may inspire another person to reach within himself to achieve a surprising victory, and in the achieving to grow into a much better person. One person may react by becoming disillusioned. The same situation may prompt the other person to roll up his sleeves and go to work on it. The difference is not in the situation, but in the consciousness of the person meeting the situation. Shakespeare put it so well. The fault, dear Brutus, lies not in our stars, but in ourselves. External circumstances have no power to make us react in a certain way. We ourselves choose how we are going to react. Then we fool ourselves into thinking that the situation made us react like that. But when our consciousness is up, the power of the problem is down. And when our consciousness is down, the power of the problem is up. What then is within ourselves that may give rise to these feelings of discouragement? The answer is consciousness. In other words, the problem gets its power from you. There are two negative causes or elements of discouragement that we need to discuss in order to change from the consciousness of depression to one of confidence and joy. The first is the all too common tendency to judge according to appearances. We look out over our world and see a certain condition or situation and we say, this looks bad. Long ago, Jesus said, do not judge by appearances, but judge with right and judgment. John 7:24. What does it mean to judge with right judgment? It means to recognize appearances as appearances only. It means to recognize that appearances are constantly changing. It means to see past the appearance, to recognize and acknowledge the presence and power of God. How does this work out in an actual experience? Say that the appearance is that you are ill. You have a temperature. Your body feels as if it had gone through a ringer and it hurts all over. On the bedstand next to you is an array of bottles and pills. Over there are the remains of your breakfast tray, which had to be brought to you because your body was too weak to go to the kitchen to eat. These are the appearances. But is that all there is to life? Is life a game of chance where the appearances keep shifting because of some lucky or unlucky factors coming into the picture? Or is there an invisible life force behind and within all that we see, all appearances? A life force and a transcendent intelligence that is ever seeking to find increasing expression of itself as greater life, better health and complete wholeness. A student of the Jesus Christ teachings will hold to the truth that behind or beyond the appearance of a sick room and a sick body is the ever-active, ever-loving Spirit of God. God is Spirit, and Spirit is everywhere present. Spirit is present here and now. God's Spirit is working every moment toward restoration to health and wholeness. To know this enables one to judge with right judgment. The facts of a sick room and a sick body are true, but it is just as true that God's everywhere present. Health-giving Spirit is present and active. So when you look past or through the facts and acknowledge or mentally see the healing activity of Spirit, you disconnect your I am, your true self, from the psychological state of discouragement. You attach your I am to the dynamic mental state of courage, faith and thanksgiving. Instead of feeling discouraged, your inner self will begin to declare, I am courageous, I am strong, I am unafraid, I am grateful. The second feeling within ourselves that will give rise to a state of discouragement is fear. Jesus said, let not your hearts be troubled, neither let them be afraid. John 14:27. Remember, I think it was Deuteronomy 31:6. It also says, fear not, which is basically a command from God saying, don't be afraid. I am with you. Jesus was not simply saying something nice and comforting, but he was explaining an all-important principle to obey when a challenge besets us or befalls us. He was teaching us that if we want to provide the most perfect mental conditions for God's everywhere present Spirit to work through us, we must not let fear get a foothold in our consciousness. Remember, the word courage was derived from a word that means heart. We must not let our heart be troubled, or your mind be troubled. Your mind be troubled. What can we do about fear? A quick inventory of our truth knowledge would tell us that love is the supreme remedy of fear. What is fear? Being afraid of something imagined. The possibility. Oh, this person's going to do something to me. I hide in my room, or hide in my house, under the bed, because this guy's going to come over and do something to me, or this person. I'm afraid, or I'm too afraid to do that because it might not work. It's all imagined, right? Because it hasn't happened yet. And then nothing happens, and you go, what the hell was I so afraid of? Okay? I stood up to that person or told them to get lost or whatever, had a bit of courage there, told them, no, cut it out, man. You're not coming here and doing that stuff. Threaten me like that, you know. Off you go. Or I'll put a trespass notice on you, right? You've taken the step, you've taken this step of encouragement, of being courageous, and stood up to them, right? You haven't like stood right in front of them and taken a blow in the face or anything like that. You kept your distance, but you just yelled out the window something, nah, don't bring your crap here, get lost, or I'll call the cops, right? You've just shown them an act of courage. You're not backing down, right? Or they didn't turn up at all. They were all mouth, right? They're saying all these things to their friends and trying to look cool, look tough, all that sort of stuff, but they didn't action it. They were all mouth. A lot of people are like, you're way in the distance and you can talk a whole lot of rubbish about somebody else, but you never go and confront that person. Even if that person was pretty tougher than you, whatever, and said, well, you've got a problem, come and see me about it. We'll talk about it, And if things go down, would we boogie woogie? Well, that's just how it'll go, But they never turn up. They make idle threats over the telephone, all this and stuff, but they never ever turn up. They keep doing that. They do it for years and years and they never ever turn up. So they're all mouth. Perfect love casts out all fear. 1 John 4:18. Therefore we fill our hearts and thoughts with love, then fear thoughts which lead to discouragement must of necessity disappear. Try a little experiment. When you are alone, say these words to a hypothetical other person, imaginary person, right? Imagine there's somebody there, but they're not actually there. I am afraid of you. Then say to the same hypothetical person, I love you. Notice the subtle differences in your consciousness when you say, I am afraid of you. You can actually feel a disturbing current in you and around you. When the author tried the experiment, he felt a kind of disturbing tingling in his hands and a feeling that they were about to perspire. When you say, I love you, you feel an altogether different current. A kind of peace envelops you. A relaxing, harmonizing feeling enfolds you. If you can actually sense or feel a definite disconcerting reaction when you place your attention on the word fear, and a definite harmonizing response when you place your attention on the word love, then you can plainly see how your state of discouragement rooted in fear can directly affect your body in a negative way. Conversely, it is plain that filling your consciousness with calmness and love and faith has a direct positive effect on your physical organism. When you are discouraged, stop yourself from recounting the outer troubles that you feel are the cause of your painful negative outlook. Stop wishing that certain people would get out of your life, or that certain circumstances would change, or that you could get away from it all. Well, why are you stopping? Oh, okay, because you're wishing. You're not actually actioning it. You're not saying, right, get out of my life. Being very direct and saying, right, I don't want you in my life anymore. Okay, you're wishing. Yeah, it's all in your mind that people would get out of your life, or that certain circumstances would change, or that you could get away from it all. You do not need a change of environment as much as you need a change of heart. Yeah, sometimes you do need a change of environment. Yeah, it gets you away from those people who are constantly coming at you, threatening you, trying to discourage you, all that sort of stuff. You do not need a change of environment as much as you need a change of heart. Take heart. Take courage. Affirm loud and clear so that your subconscious mind gets the message. There is nothing to fear, for God is here. If God is with me, who can be against me? Then affirm good and strong so that the subconscious mind is aroused to work constructively with you. I refuse to be cowed by or to knuckle under to these conditions that presently exist in my life. I am a child of God. I am a free spiritual being. I have the potential to stand up to these conditions and with God's help to change their effect on me. I am grateful. What can you do to implement this realization in your life? The first thing is to be aware and to act on the awareness that you are not alone and helpless. You are more than the flesh and blood form that's reflected back at you from your mirror. Within that form, animating that form, is an invisible you. What is this you made of? It is made of life, spirit. The word spirit comes from the Latin spiritus, meaning breath or life. In other words, you are a spiritual being, a centre of life, livingness. Where do you get your life? What is the source? Here is where God comes into the picture. God is that universal life, that universal I am, which is living through and as you and me and every other living thing. That may seem a bit deep, but if we are going to start ascent out of the pit of discouragement with the idea that no one is alone and helpless, we have to have a firm basis or foundation for saying and believing this truth. We have to have a source, a God, that we can really believe in. For too long, people have thought of God as a bearded man on a throne in the heavens. Such a concept of God is fine when things are going along all right, but when we run into real personal trouble, it is difficult to believe that such a God has the time to help us straighten out all of our comparatively trivial problems. But when we understand God to be what Jesus taught him to be, Spirit, then we have a God who is very close by, not a divine person busy running the world from a throne in the sky, but a spiritual presence that is the very life of our life. God is so very close to us and conscious of us and our problems, large and small, that the poet Tennyson was inspired to write, "Closer is he than breathing, and nearer than hands and feet," a higher pantheism. Because you are a point of expression of that universal creative spirit that we call God, the next step is for you to provide the most perfect mental conditions for this universal power to express through. Did you ever try to water your lawn while you were standing on the hose? Yeah, can understand that one. Try to put the cat in the fridge, put the milk outside, or the dog in the fridge and the milk outside. Yep, this is what happens when you get old, right? It's like, you start losing your memory, you forget things. Like you walk to the fridge, open the fridge, now what did I want in here? You walk away, oh that's right, the butter. You go back to get the butter. What did I want in here? Oh no. And you walk away, oh the butter, that's right, and you keep going back and forwards. Yeah? It's probably onset of dementia or something like that. Okay, so what we want you to do is to listen to this video again and then speak those affirmations, I am, etc, etc. Listen to it over and over again and get it in your mind. I am. I am. I am strong. I am courageous. I am not afraid because God is in my presence. God is all around me, etc, etc. He's ever present. Put that in your mind. Put it on your heart. Put that in your mind. Do it over and over and over and over again for the next week. And then notice how do you feel after that, right? Because what we're part of this is part of why we're bringing these kind of books to you all, is because we realise, well, we want to do something, but we're all talk, no action. Other people notice that, they go, oh, that's what you said last week, that's what you said before, you haven't done anything, And it really sucks because you have a nephew that's like 10 or 11, he's the one telling you that. You always say those things, you always write these things down, never do anything, What a waste of time, You're all phony, whatever. He's right, you deserve that because that's what you are, you're a phony, right? You got all these ideas, you write it down, oh, tomorrow I'll do this, and then I'll do this, and I'll set myself a goal, I'll do this, and all this and stuff, and you never do it. 2 years down the track, the nephew's saying, well, that's what you said 2 years ago, and you're still writing that? You haven't done it yet? Oh, come on, man. Give it up, you're wasting your time. Okay, so you got to do those affirmations. Tell yourself, I am. I'm not afraid. I'm this. I'm successful, etc., etc. Because your subconscious mind is your negative. It's your antagonist, it's your protagonist. You want to do something, but it says, no, you can't do that. You won't be able to do that. You're no good at that. Stop dreaming. Go and play a video game or watch the internet, something on the internet instead. Chill, relax with that sort of stuff. It's an off-putter, right? Yeah. So you got to tell it get behind me, Satan. I'm in control here. I am. You're not. And this is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to do it. I'm going to take action by doing it. Okay, and you go and do it. Action it. Because if you don't, if you keep thinking about it, you never get around to doing it. So you got to go, right, I'm going to go and do this. Like, find some methods where, we use one, Mike Littman's Success 6. We've got a diary. We write down the night before we go to sleep 6 things that we must do the next day. Okay, all in order. There might be some sort of tension releasing exercise, isometrics, when we get up in the morning, because you roll over a bed and you get all tense because of sleep, whatever, pent up tension. So you get rid of that, right? You feel better. And you might do some yogic breathing or some small aerobics like Tony Little or Richard Simmons, something that gets you because Richard Simmons is pretty funny, right? He's gay as a pink banana, but but he's just funny. Watch him on whose show is it? Well, whose line is it anyway? Oh, that guy was just a cracker. He's very entertaining, right? And do other exercise. Go for a walk, brisk walk, do a power walk, whatever, Get yourself motivated, get yourself driven, inspired, and read the Bible, read the scriptures and say, I am a child of God, I am of God, God is of me, etc., etc. All those affirmations, over and over and over again, and you'll feel better. You'll feel stronger, after a few days or whatever, or maybe instantly. Who knows? Okay, so if you like this video, it's very, very helpful to you. Give us a like, add your comments below this video. Don't forget to subscribe to us and add your comments, and we'll get back to you on those as soon as we can. We hope that this video about this particular book helps you to develop a basis, a solid foundation for your faith in God and Jesus the Christ and the Spirit, the power of the Holy Spirit, right? So no one will shake you off that foundation, right? They won't discourage you. They can't, you're a set in concrete. Okay, you're basically a tower set in concrete, and all these earthquakes, these people with the earthquakes of discouragement, whatever coming on, and they try to knock your structure down, all this sort of stuff. But you're unshakable, you're unmovable because you're grounded. So as we said, if you like this video, you enjoyed it, give us a like, subscribe, add your comments underneath, and you go share it with all your family, your friends, and others, and give each other that love, that encouragement, that support. Thank you for taking the time to watch this, our latest video upload.